Thank you. Let me ask everyone to take their seats. And I'm going to call the local planning agency meeting March 12th, 2019 to order. I'm going to ask the clerk to call roll.
Mayor Weissman,
Here.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks,
Here.
Commissioner Landman,
Here.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Here.
Commissioner Narodsky,
Here.
Commissioner Shelley,
Here.
Commissioner Weinberg,
Here.
Mr. Wasson, and Mr. Wolfen.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. If I could, Anya Malik, could you please come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anya. Could I please have a motion for approval of the minutes of July 10th, 2018,
I'll motion for that.
made by Commissioner Narodsky, seconded by Commissioner Shelley? Can I please have a vote on the approval of the minutes? City Clerk?
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley, Commissioner Weinberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. We now move into item 4 of the local planning agency. It's a public hearing on the motion recommending adoption of the following ordinance, and I'm going to ask the city attorney to read the ordinance being considered.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending Article 9, Sign Regulations of Chapter 31, Land Development Regulations of the City Code to add a definition of and regulation for temporary graphic wraps on construction fences, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date. And Mayor, as usual, any staff reports and public comments provided on this local planning agency meeting will be continued and contained into the record of the City Commission for the item as it comes up later this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for telling us that. I'm going to ask for a motion recommending the adoption of said ordinance. Commissioner Landman made the motion. Can I have a second, please? Seconded by Commissioner Mizrahi. I'm going to request that Ms. Joanne Carr present the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. Staff requests that the local planning agency recommend approval to the City Commission of an amendment to Sections 31-191E and K of the city's land development regulations to add to the city's sign code a definition of and regulation for temporary graphic wraps for construction fences. The proposed amendment, if approved, will allow temporary graphic wraps on construction fences, and the wrap is defined as a vinyl mesh sign covering all of an approved and permitted construction fence for an ongoing construction project. Graphics shall be designed to enhance the aesthetics of the fence and to identify the project to be constructed, but not as an attention to getting device. No projecting, rotating, blinking, swinging, or streaming portions of the wrap and or illumination shall be permitted. The wrap shall be securely affixed to the fence and maintained in good repair at all time. And the regulation is that a sign permit is required. The wrap is permitted for a period of 12 months from the date of the issuance of the fence permit or until construction is completed, and that's provided that construction is ongoing. The signed copy may include the name of the project, a rendering, nature of development, general contractor, architect, lender, or agent. Staff has analyzed the proposed amendment using the standards for review of amendments to the text of the land development regulations in Section 3177G of the City Code and finds that it does meet those standards. Notice of the proposed amendment to the sign code has been advertised in accordance with Section 3171 of the City Code, and staff has not received any public comment or inquiry. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. I'm going to open this item if any members of the commission have any questions or comments. Commissioner Shelley?
Joanne, I know we spoke about this at the workshop. This is where they cannot do any kind of advertising, promotion for anything other than graphics for the project
The
itself.
project itself, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing as there's no further comments from the commission, I'm going to open the item for public comment. If there's anyone who wants to talk on this item, understand we're talking only on this item. Okay? Is there anyone? Seeing as there's no one that wishes to address us, I'm going to close it for public comment, and I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Commissioner Weinberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Now I'm going to ask for an emotion for the adjournment of the local planning agency meeting, made by Commissioner Landman, seconded by Commissioner Narotsky. Anyone opposed? Then I'm going to say this meeting of the local planning agency is adjourned, which will move us right into our regularly scheduled city commission meeting. I will once again, for the record, ask the clerk to call roll.
Mayor Weissman,
Here.
Mayor Dr. Marks.
Here.
Commissioner Landman,
Here.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Here.
Commissioner Narotsky,
Here.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Commissioner Weinberg.
Here.
Mr. Wasson. And Mr. Wolfen. You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. As we just did the Pledge of Allegiance, we are not going to do that again, and we move on to item 3. I'm going to ask the city manager if there are any deletions or additions to the published agenda.
No, Mayor.
Thank you so much. At this point, we have our special presentations are always special to us, but tonight we have a very special presentation. And I'm going to ask the city manager to go down to the microphone. And to use the microphone there to tell us about this very, very special presentation.
Good evening, everybody. This is, as the mayor said, this is really a special event for us. Normally, we're recognizing our Public Works Department for accreditation, and that's really a big deal, no matter what department you're talking about. Normally, we hear this, it comes up as police departments, or as it was pointed out to me, in educational facilities, or educational things that accreditation really makes your mark, that you've crossed all the boxes, you've dotted all the I's. And in this case, a Public Works Department under the leadership of Joel Kroll and the accreditation manager, Alan Levine, really took a brand-new department 2 years ago and underwent an incredible process. Just to give you an idea, the accreditation process in Public Works has been around for 20 years. To date, there is only 152 departments that have received accreditation in Public Works. Public Works normally, hard work is the heart and soul of your city. They do all the heavy lifting. You see them out there. They a lot of times don't get the credit they deserve in what they do. So in this case, it really does go a long way for us to recognize them today. I'd ask that Doug Layton, who's here from American Public Works, come down and join me, as well as the entire staff of Public Works are here tonight. I know they're a little reluctant. I'd like Joe Kroll, if you'd come down. Alan Levine he's our Deputy of Public Works, but he really oversaw most of the accreditation process. Gail Fishman, who's Secretary, but really is the assistant. I have Tony Maleko and Julio. Oh God, I'm going to forget your last name. Garcia. I'm sorry, Julio. I'll turn it over to Doug.
Thank you. My name's Doug Layton. I'm the Regional Director for American Public Works Association, and we kind of think this is a big deal. It's hard to get this accreditation. It's not an easy process. Your folks did it in 1 year. The average is 2 years. And they have to write policies for everything they do. You could think about that in your business or your private life. If you had to write down what you're going to do every time from now on, how difficult that would be, and to get it right and to review it and approve it. And then we bring in a set of public works people from out of town, from out of state, that review that and say, is this appropriate? Is this the best practice for public works? And these are not people, these are not professors, these are people that have had to do it themselves, so there's not a lot of BS that goes on. It really is a tough thing to get, and you should feel proud of your department because they've proved themselves to be professional. Just the fact that they wanted to go through this and get it right says a lot about their character and their ability to do work and to do it professionally. They are the 152nd. They're from all over the U.S. and Canada. One of their policies was a model that we gave out to other agencies going through the same process. Their model was their strategic planning, and that's a feather in their cap as well. One of the things, there are a few reasons why that this is good for them. Efficiency. When you write down what you do, you have to think through the process, and you have to say, this is the way we want to do it, and maybe we should tweak it this way or that way. And so there is an efficiency process and cost savings to the city. And they actually train themselves. They say, this is the way we're going to do it, and if we haven't been doing it that way, we're going to do it that way from now on. And they write it down, and they can look it up. Think about the transition process if your public works director retires and moves on. He can turn and hand that book to the next guy and say, this is the way we do things. That's a tremendous advantage to the city. To me, I tried to go through this as a public works director, and I wanted the respect of my peers. To me, that was very, very important. So without me talking too much more, let me just make the presentation. We tried to make the size of it to feel important too. Joseph. One thing I didn't do, there's some public works people here from surrounding cities that would like to if you just stand up, they came here to support you guys in what you're doing. Thank you.
Mr. Layton, thank you so very much, and it's my understanding that there are over 20,000 municipalities, and now we're the 152nd, which makes it a very arduous process, not given lightly to municipalities. Joe, what can we say to you? Thank you for truly exemplifying the City of Excellence. We so appreciate every single thing you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. You want to, sure, please.
Just very quickly, I just wanted to thank my staff, especially Alan and Gail, because they actually spearheaded this, and it's not a one person that does this, it's a group effort as Public Works is and everything that we do. So I'm very proud of them, and I just wanted to make sure I publicly, thank them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, may I speak to this
Certainly.
award?
Certainly.
Thank you. Joe, I would just like to take a moment to share a personal experience that I've had as a commissioner with the Public Works Department. And when I came on board, I was looking at our total layout in terms of shrubbery, bushes, trees, etc. And I will tell you up front, I can't tell you the name of any shrub, bush, or tree, but I was able to look and just see from a visual standpoint about what we were doing and how we were doing it. And Joe has taken this under his wing. We spent a good amount of time driving around the entire city with the city manager, and immediately he got on board And you will see throughout the city that the medians are all being enhanced. He told me to be patient because it will take some time to get all of them done. But he's starting at the north end, and he will be going throughout the city. And you can already see the rewards. So Joe does not just sit and provide lift service, but rather he and his department work hard and take their job seriously. So I want to personally thank you for that.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next order of business, and it's our school reports. And from ACES, I'm going to ask Anya Malik to come back up and give us the ACES update.
Good evening. My name is Anya Malik, and I'm an 8th grade student at ACES and a member of National Junior Honor Society. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. The last 7 weeks have been very busy at ACES. Over 50 volunteers presented at ACES Annual Career Day. Presentations included a variety of careers in the medical field, law enforcement, environmental protection, technology, science, engineering, and the arts. Kindergarten and first grade attended the play Gwendolyn and the Hungry Caterpillar at the AACC. They really enjoyed the show. Middle school drama students performed the play Homework Eats Dog and the rehearsal at the AACC. Their acting was phenomenal, and with the help of the woodshop class, the stage looked amazing. 4th graders took a field trip where they toured the Everglades, watched an alligator wrestling show, visited a Miccosukee village, and took an airboat ride. They learned a lot about the Native American way of life. 2nd grade students traveled to Flamingo Gardens, where they studied birds and fauna and watched an animal show. Parents attended the monthly Coffee Connection. This event provided an opportunity for parents to connect with each other while learning about all the unique, fun learning experiences their children are participating in at ACES. Students participated in an Upstander Day. All grade levels engaged in a lesson about the importance of practicing humility. Each student, kindergarten through 5th grade, received a take-home book. 6th through 8th grade students were given access to an online resource. Our 8th grade ELA students participated in the Black History Wax Museum. Each student was assigned an influential person to represent, and they shared that person's biography with peers and staff members who visited. The Student of the Month ceremony was held to recognize students who consistently demonstrated exemplary citizenship. We are proud to say that 51 students were recognized this month. ACE's annual Boosterthon fundraiser was a great success. Students participated in value-based mini pep rallies daily, and the fundraiser accumulated with the Fun Glow Run. We met our goal, raising over $20,000. Last week was our 14th annual Cystic Fibrosis Week at ACES. This event not only raises funds, but just as importantly, it raises awareness of the disease and teaches about giving back. Students became cure finders by donating money in special events throughout the week. All the funds raised are donated directly to the National Cystic Fibrosis Foundation to help support CF research. In sports news, boys JV and varsity basketball teams both made the playoffs, and our girls soccer team brought home the runner-up trophy for the conference. As always, ACES has a lot of great things going on, with many more to come. We encourage the community to follow us on Instagram and Facebook to learn more. I appreciate the opportunity to share a few highlights from our school. Thanks again on behalf of ACES, where excellence is the expectation, not the exception. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Anya, thank you so much. From Aventura Waterways, I'm going to request Katrina Bass to please provide the report on the waterways update. Katrina Bass. Okay. Maybe the traffic has her delayed. We'll go right on to Michael Kropp Senior High with Ariel Hartsey and Ellie Ratner. Okay, we're going to keep on moving. That's all right. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda, and I'm going to ask if any member of the commission would like to remove an item from the consent agenda. Seeing as there's no removals from the consent agenda, I'm going to ask for a motion for approval of the items on the consent agenda. Motion made by Vice Mayor Dr. Linda Marks, seconded by Commissioner Mizrahi. I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman?
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi?
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky?
Yeah.
Commissioner Shelley? Commissioner Weinberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Kind of surprising for us. For the first time in a very long time, we have no zoning hearing and no quasi-judicial public hearing. So we're going to move right into our ordinance, the first reading and the public hearing. I'm going to ask the city attorney to read the first ordinance, item A.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending Article 9, sign regulations of Chapter 31, land development regulations of the City Code to add a definition of and regulation for temporary graphic wraps on construction fences, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. I'm going to ask for a motion for approval of the ordinance. Made by Commissioner Narodsky, seconded by Commissioner Shelley. Let me ask the attorney, since we just had it, do we have to go through the staff report again?
No, Mayor, the staff report and any comments made are incorporated into the record. You may just ask the public if they have any further or
All right,
additional
I'm going to
comments.
open this to the public, and if anyone from the public wishes to address the commission. Seeing as there are none, I'm going to close it for public comment, and I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley, Commissioner Weinberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes on first reading.
Thank you so much. And I would just like to take this opportunity to ask Luann Anselmo to please stand up for a moment. She's the COO of the Aventura Hospital, and thank you for your efforts. Thank you. I'm going to ask that, you can clap. It's all good. I'm going to ask the city attorney to read the next ordinance being considered, item B.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, creating Division 8, Don Sofer Aventura High School Advisory Board of Article 3 Advisory Boards of Chapter 2 Administration of the City Code by creating Section 2218 Creation and Qualifications, Section 2219 Process for Appointment of Board Members, Section 2220 Jurisdiction, Duties, and Meetings, Section 2221 Rules of Procedure, Quorum, and Section 2-222, Standards of Conduct for Members, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. I'm going to ask for a motion for approval, made by Vice Mayor Dr. Linda Marks, seconded by Commissioner Mizrahi. I'm going to request that the city manager review this item.
Good evening again. The new high school will have an advisory board that will be made up of three members that will be selected by the commission and 2 members that will be selected by the parents at the new school when the school opens in August. In August, the applications will go out from the city as soon as this ordinance is passed. And once the school starts, the applications will go out to the parents, and they will select who will represent them on the advisory board. The advisory board is really to make sure that they review and make general suggestions to the staff of the school on curriculum, performance guidelines, and just the overall management of the school to make sure that they're doing everything possible to provide a great education to the students.
Thank you. I'm going to ask if any members of the commission have any questions or comments. Vice Mayor Dr. Linda Marks.
Just to clarify, the 3 members that the commission will select are members from the community, the general community, not parents.
Not parents.
So there will be 3 members from representing the general community, and then 2 members who will also be specifically parents in the school.
That's correct.
Any other commissioners? Okay, then I'm going to open this item for public comment. Does anyone in the public wish to address the commission? Seeing as there are none, I'm going to close it for public comment and ask the city clerk to do a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Commissioner Weinberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes on first reading.
Thank you so much. In 1 second, I'm going to ask the city attorney to read the next ordinance marked item C, but I do want to say this is where local government really comes into play. I believe it was 2 commission meetings ago that this was brought to the commission's attention, and 2 meetings later, we have an ordinance, and we'll see what happens as the city attorney reads it.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending Chapter 10 entitled Animals of the City Code by amending Section 10-1 entitled Removal of Canine Fecal Matter, Canines to be Leashed, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for approval of this amendment made by Commissioner Shelley, seconded by Commissioner Landman? I'm going to ask the city manager to please review the item.
The main change to this ordinance, which was already on the books, was to really up the fines for people who don't pick up after their dogs. It's one of the things that haunt most communities. It's not the animals, it's the owners that sometimes fail to pick up after their dogs. It really is a quality of life issue that affects everybody. Nothing is worse than having that in front of your house, or God, worse yet, if you step in it, or you have a child that accidentally steps in it. So it was felt in the best order to raise the fines to make sure that it was taken seriously.
Thank you so much. Again, I'm going to say I don't think that this commission could agree more. It's very aligned to a city of excellence standard, and I'm going to ask if any commissioners would like to address this item. Commissioner Narodsky.
I just wanted to add, Ms. Amato, thank you for coming to all the meetings, and also because you live on my street, so having you vigilant about it, but really brought it to our attention, so we appreciate that, and that's how things get done, because a lot of times we don't really know about it, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner, Vice Mayor Dr. Linda Morris.
Ron, would you share what the fines will be?
Yes. It used to be $25, $50, and $100. Now it's going to be $75 for your first offense, $150 for your second offense, and $500 for your third offense. If you're caught not walking your dog and not picking up.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to open this item for public comment. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to address this item? If you do, please state your name and address for the record.
Hiram Curson, 364 Yacht Club Drive, Aventura. Number one, I'd like to thank the commissioners for addressing this topic. I do have a couple of comments that I'd like to share with you in reading what you're proposing. I'm looking at page 2 of 4, number 2 at the top of the page, and it says, any private property not belonging to the owner or person having custody of the canine. I'm not sure, looking at this, what the legislative intent is, if it is to address property on condominium. I'm not quite sure what this means, because we're talking about private property not belonging to the owner. However, common elements in a condominium association, or I should say the common elements in the condominium association have a certain ownership by the residents and the unit owners. So if the intent is to address condominium properties as private properties in addition, I'm going to suggest you may want to revisit the language to make the legislative intent clearer. I have the same type of comments going down to D, where it says language is premises of the owner. Now again, if the legislative intent is to address condominium properties, the question is, what is ownership? Because the fractional ownership of the common elements belongs to each unit owner. Is it a majority ownership that the commissioners are thinking of, or is it not condominium properties at all? So I'm just suggesting you may want to revisit the language. The other question that I have is, or comment that I have, is in terms of code enforcement. The city currently employs one full-time and one part-time code enforcement officer. They're quite busy with other matters. By the time someone sees an unleashed dog on private property or public property, it may take hours before that code enforcement officer from the other side of town that's involved with something else is going to be there. I'm going to ask the chief to accommodate me, the chief of police to accommodate me with a suggestion for the commissioners. I realize that section 2332 and 2337 call for code enforcement by the code enforcement officers. I'm going to suggest that the commissioners consider revising that and allowing for the Aventura City police officers to also issue violations. If a dog is on the loose and someone sees a police vehicle going by, they can flag that police vehicle down and describe the situation. The police officer should be in a position to issue the violation. I'm going to suggest the commissioners consider revising the code to allow police officers to do it also. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Hiram, as always. I'm going to say one thing, and then I'm going to ask our attorney to comment on one part of it. I believe that as far as the city is concerned, we're talking about our municipality, not private property that belongs to a condo. Okay, but I will ask for our attorney, Mr. Walpin, to weigh in on that, and I believe right now our police can help enforce the code.
Thank you, Mayor. This ordinance would provide, for example, if one person allowed their canine to utilize the property of another and then didn't pick it up there, that would be subject to this ordinance. I'll take a look at the gentleman's suggestion as to any impact on the condominium property, but the main problem has been out in the public premises, sidewalks, and other areas. And you're correct, the police could always enforce more than the code enforcement officers, but certainly what the code enforcement officers do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to address this item? Okay, no one from the commission? Is anyone from the commission again? Vice Mayor Dr. Linda Marks?
The only thing I would suggest is that you have private property. All of the condominiums are essentially on private property. And then, of course, the municipality has what we would call the public property. So one of the things that you may have to do in a condominium is to adopt this as a rule for your own private property, should you care to use the same fine structure that the city is doing, because on private property, you have a different set of rules and regulations than you would have, on a municipal property.
Okay, with that, if there are no other comments from the public or from the commission, I'm going to close the item, and I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Narotsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley,
Yes.
Commissioner Weinberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes on first reading.
Thank you so much. Our next item, ordinance up for approval, is item D, and I'm going to ask the city attorney to please read the ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending ordinance number 2018-18, which ordinance adopted a budget for the 2018-2019 fiscal year by revising the 2018-2019 fiscal year operating and capital budget as outlined in Exhibit A attached hereto, authorizing the city manager to do all things necessary to carry out the aims of this ordinance and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. I'm going to ask for a motion for approval of this ordinance. Made by Commissioner Landman, seconded by Commissioner Mizrahi. I'm going to request that the city manager review the item.
This is a normal housekeeping procedure that is done mid-year. Not every city does this, and it's really a sign of strong financial management. In this document, it rebalances the accounts that the city manages, and it takes into account sometimes things that we didn't plan for or got pushed ahead, and sometimes projects that are started. Either sometimes they start and take longer to complete, or something happens and it takes us into a new year. Such as, I can name a few. One in particular would be at the Arts Center, the Aventura Arts Center, the air conditioning system. We were hoping to get another year out of it. It did not work out that way. So we have to appropriate money to actually fund that item. We had a road project where the company that was doing the road paving went out of business. which caused us to delay the project and carry it forward. In that case, we actually got a little lucky. The next business that came in gave us a price that was less than the original company. And it's things like this that get carried forward. LED light repair, that's a project that's been ongoing. Because of the hurricane, it got delayed. So these are the things that take over time. Most of the adjustments are rather minor, and that's really a sign of good budgeting management, because your projections are very close to what you said in your original document. I thank Brian for doing a good job with that.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask if any member of the commission has any questions or comments. Okay. Seeing as there are none, I will make my comment that during our meeting, I asked the city manager if everything in our budget was as sound as when we first presented it, and my answer was 100%. So I want everyone here to be able to sleep tonight. The city is doing fine. This is just something our city does midway through the process, because as the city manager says, things are subject to change in a budget. Anyone from the public wish to address this item? Seeing as there are none, I'm going to close it for public comment, and I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman?
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi?
Yes.
Commissioner Narosky? Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Commissioner Weinberg?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Weissman.
Yes,
Motion passes on first reading.
thank you. The first and only ordinance that we're going to consider on second reading, item number 8, I'm going to ask the city attorney to read the ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending Chapter 1, General Provisions of the City Code by creating Section 118, Sale of Nicotine Vaporizers, E-Cigarettes, and Liquid Nicotine to Minors Prohibited, Signage Requirements, Possession by Minors Prohibited, Penalties, and Section 1-19, Use of Nicotine Vaporizers and Liquid Nicotine Prohibited near city parks and public schools, Signage Requirements, Additional Restrictions, Penalties, Providing for Implementation, Providing for Repeal, Providing for Severability, Providing for Inclusion in the Code, and Providing for an Effective Date.
Thank you. Can I please have a motion for approval of this item made by Commissioner Shelley, seconded by Commissioner Mizrahi? If any member of the commission has any questions or comments, please let me know. Okay, then I'm going to open the item for public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address this item? Okay, seeing as there are none, I'm going to close it for public comment, and I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Landman?
Yes.
Commissioner Mizrahi?
Yes.
Commissioner Narosky?
Yes.
Commissioner Shelley?
Yes.
Commissioner Weinberg?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dr. Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Weissman.
Yes,
Motion passes on second and final reading.
thank you. We have no resolutions that would require a public hearing this evening, so we move on to our next item, which are commission reports. Are there any reports from any of the commissioners? Commissioner Mizrahi?
Yes, I just wanted to give you an update since our last workshop when we brought the situation in Venezuela. I just wanted to give an update on the developments that have occurred. I was recently in Colombia and got to experience firsthand on how Venezuelan immigration has impacted Colombia. In every single street, there are Venezuelans full of families just trying to change some worthless bolívares to some local money just for their family to eat. The humanitarian help was blocked by the loyal forces to Maduro, and many lives have been taken just defending the people that tried to cross trucks full of insulin, morphine, and food. And those lives were literally lost right in front of everybody's eyes. More than 700 militants have left Maduro and pledged allegiance to the interim president. The movie-like operation that took Guaido from the center of Venezuela to the border in Colombia so he could meet with President Duque and the OEA secretary was literally orchestrated by priests. And it was amazing to see how all the people literally helped to get Guaidó out of Venezuela into the border and then lifted up by a helicopter to get him into Colombia. For the last 2 days, there has been no power in Venezuela because of the lack of maintenance to all the electric grid. More than 300 people have died in their hospitals due to this problem. The situation is really deteriorating every day, and I think that being in a small community of 3.2 miles, we think that it has nothing to do with us. But actually, it really does. Colombia is the strongest ally that the U.S. has in the region. And this is escalating every day, and we all want to avoid a military confrontation. So I'm really pleading with you that we want a resolution supporting all the Venezuelan community so we can contribute to the diplomatic efforts so that we can avoid any kind of military involvement in the region. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to then say, we're talking about commission reports. That's what this is for. So do I have any commissioners that have commission reports? Dr. Linda Marks, Vice Mayor.
I just wanted to compliment our police department on a recent bicycle ride that was enjoyed by so many of our citizens. It was a very hot day. Water was given out to everyone. Everyone was given a bicycle helmet so that they could ride safely. And it was a beautiful thing to see. So thank you, Chief, and your whole department, because really what a great event it was.
Any other commission reports? Okay, I would just like to tell everyone that Florida Legislature is in session. Please pay attention to it. There are a number of items that are being considered in committee right now that would impact, number one, municipalities, and number two, condos. So please pay attention to what's going on in Tallahassee. It too impacts us. I'm going to ask right now, since there are no commissioners that have any further reports, I'm going to open it for public comment, and I'm going to ask the city attorney to review the rules pertaining to this item.
Thank you, Mayor. In accordance with the City Commission rules, this is the part of the agenda where the City Commission hears comments and input from members of the public, but in accordance with our rules, the commissioners do not respond back to the public and do not engage in a discussion of the matter. If any follow-up is needed, that would be subsequently handled later on by the city manager or myself. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I'm now opening it for public comment. If you wish to address the commission on any issue, please come up, state your name and address for the record.
Hello, good evening. My name is Carmen Jimenez. Nice to see you again. For security reasons, I'm not going to display my hall address, but my zip code is 33180. First of all, I would like to thank you for, I know that you are aware about the situation in Venezuela, and we, the people exercising our constitutional right to petition the government, came in front of the commissioner to ask you to please pass and approve a resolution condemning Nicolas Maduro for crimes of lesser humanity and crimes of war, and also genocide, political genocide, and recognizing Juan Guaidó as the legitimate president of Venezuela. According to the Constitution of Venezuela, Article 133, 233, and 250, Juan Guaidó is our president in Venezuela. So Nicolas Maduro is illegitimate taking the presidency. That's the reason why the United States and also more than 60 other countries has recognized Juan Guaidó as the only president in Venezuela. The situation, updating your statement, Ms. Sari, is that in Venezuela they are 6 days without any electricity. More than 700 people, including 300 kids, have died in the last 6 days. The city of Aventura is really important to us because 48% of the population living here is related to Venezuelan people or is Venezuelan people. 48%. What is happening here, talking about the other 52% of the population living in the city of Aventura, is that most of them, family members, have fled from the Holocaust. And this situation is like the second Holocaust. So I plead you to please pass and approve this resolution. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to address? Daniel, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Naim. I live in 20865 Northeast 32nd Avenue in Aventura, and it's an honor to be here with the commissioners. I try to come as much as possible, and I would like to thank you for considering approving a resolution for Venezuela. And I had a conversation yesterday with a friend of mine on the phone who he wasn't unable to reach his parents for 5 days. And I was thinking actually this morning that I'm rich. I felt like a multimillionaire just because in the morning I flush my toilet, there's water. I turn the power, the switch, and the light goes on. I go downstairs, there's my kids. If my kids need anything, I just go to the pharmacy, to the supermarket. If I need bread, I just go to Publix or Winn-Dixie. This amazing city has so many options, kosher options, everything. And in Venezuela, there's nothing. There's no power, there's no food, there's no medicine. There's horrible videos going around on social media of just parents holding their babies that are dead because of power or medicine. So really, thank you so much for considering this. I'm a U.S. citizen now, but I'm from Venezuela. But I moved here 16 years ago, and this is my home now, but those are my roots also. So thank you so much. I really appreciate all the commissioners for this. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to state to those that did come to talk to us, that on March 21st, following our regularly scheduled workshop, a special one-item commission meeting has been scheduled dealing with this resolution. Is anybody else would like to come up and address the commission? Thank you. Name and address.
Hello, my name is Pedro Villarreal. I live in 19508 East Country Club Drive. I'm Venezuelan. I'm glad this topic is being talked in this city. As a member of the city of Aventura, I'm very concerned of what's going on as a Venezuelan in my country, especially comparing with the situation that I live here. And my family is being persecuted by the regime of Maduro. My dad is a retired military who fought to defend the democracy in Venezuela. And since the power of Chavez and then Maduro was too cruel and too violent, my dad was in the list and he had to escape Venezuela because of that. So there is no only humanitarian
assistance?
Yeah, exactly. But there is also a prosecution of people who is against it. So I ask, and I'm thankfully the city of Aventura taking consideration this resolution to consider Juan Guaido as the real president of Venezuela. Thanks.
Thank you. On any topic, would anyone like to address the commission? Please state your name and address.
Mi nombre es Gustavo Acosta. Disculpen que todavía no domino el inglés. Sin embargo, a la comisionada agradezco las palabras porque describió muy bien la situación en mi país.
One second, please. Do we have Daniel? Could you please translate?
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Gustavo Acosta.
Good evening. My name is Gustavo Acosta. I live in the city of Aventura.
Le agradezco a todos ustedes la oportunidad.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Para poder explicar la situación que sucede en mi país.
For being able to explain the situation going on in my country.
Se quisiera hablar de la falsa tesis que esto es una situación
He would like to say about there's a false misconception
entre dos modelos políticos
between two political,
que están en pugna del poder.
there's two different sides of the government trying to get into power.
Ya hace mucho tiempo que Venezuela
There's for a
no
long,
tiene un gobierno legítimo.
for a long time, there's not like a legitimate government in Venezuela.
Venezuela es una organización criminal que está dirigiendo el poder actualmente.
There's a criminal organization running for the government now.
Eso ha ocasionado que Venezuela sea un país que se encuentre secuestrado en la actualidad.
So Venezuela has been hijacked by criminals.
Yo soy un oficial retirado de la Fuerza Aérea Venezolana,
I'm a retired general from the Air Force.
Venezuelan Air Force. Y aparte de los 700 profesionales que han pasado a Colombia desde Venezuela, hay muchos oficiales que se encuentran dispuestos a tomar las armas cuando sea el momento preciso.
Besides the 700 people that they have already crossed the border and they are now with President Guaidó, there's a lot of people inside that they are ready to take the arms when the moment is ready.
El problema está, y le repito, Venezuela es un país secuestrado.
The problem is that Venezuela is a country that has been hijacked.
La gran mayoría de los oficiales, de los militares de carrera, tienen a su familia allá y están siendo amenazados. Por eso es que ellos no pueden decir, vamos a ponernos de acuerdo.
The officers, their families live there and the government knows where they live, so they are always, threatened that if they do something, their life are in danger.
¿Qué es lo que sucede? La gran virtud, para llamarlo de alguna manera, que tuvo el expresidente Hugo Chávez Frías, fue destruir la confianza entre los miembros de las Fuerzas Armadas.
So one of the things that the ex-president Hugo Chavez did was to destroy the trust into the Bolivarian military force.
¿Qué sucede? Si yo hablo con alguno de ustedes y comulgamos o pensamos lo mismo de que el gobierno no sirve y pensamos que los dos estamos en la misma sintonía, resulta que cuando me volteo, vengo yo y le digo a usted o al régimen que él está hablando mal del gobierno. Y eso está pasando entre los militares. No saben en quién confiar.
There's basically people that are infiltrated in different parts of the government and between also the military. So if you try to speak bad of the government, they will know, and there's always someone inside listening, and they can always tell the military and the government that someone is speaking bad about them.
Y nos guste o no, tenemos que tener presente que la opción de fuerza o la opción de uso de fuerza para crear miedo creíble es la única que puede ayudarnos a nosotros a liberarnos. Un secuestrado es muy difícil que se libere de sus captores si no tiene los medios o agentes externos.
And that the use of force, it thinks is necessary, because if you're hijacked, unless you have some military force to help you, there's no way that you can go out.
Muchas gracias por su atención.
Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias, señor. I'm going to ask again if there's anybody that... Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Yes. Good evening, Commissioner, Commissioners, and Mayor, and City Attorney, and City Manager, Clerk. My name is Michael Hoffman. I'm here on behalf of my clients, the Beneshu family. They live at 3801 Northeast 207th Street, Unit 603, and they're back there. I emailed you, if I had to...
Could you use the microphone better, please?
Is that what this is? All right, thanks. Sorry. I'd emailed you earlier about if I need more than 3 minutes, so that's why they're here also for support.
Everyone has the same amount of time, 3 minutes.
But you said that if I needed additional time, I could have somebody.
No, I said that if additional people wanted to speak, they could come and speak.
I thought they were able to donate the time. My apologies. So, Your Honor, okay, so I'm here to help address systemic issues that I have uncovered with the city's processes in addressing some FOIA issues. But first, I want to make it clear that I'm not here to speak poorly upon the city employees. The city employees have been great in helping accommodate every aspect of the FOIA requests that they've been able to. I've had past experiences with state government with FOIA where it hasn't always been there has not been the transparency that's necessary. And I've discovered with the process that I'm going through with Aventura for a FOIA request that I made over a year and a half ago, that I'm still receiving emails that fell within this time span of my earlier requests. These requests concern litigation that do not involve the city. They're not going to involve the city. The issue is about a young man who fell through a skylight in the city. The police had been amazing in trying to secure the building and preventing children from getting hurt. And I have come across a stone wall in trying to get information that I need for this litigation that is ongoing. I have deadlines, I have depositions coming, and I know that the city has these documents, and they're just not providing it. And it's been about a year and a half, and I've worked with Mr. Wolpen and his associate directly for several months to no avail. So when I had this issue before with DJJ, I actually had to go to Tallahassee, and I spoke directly to a Senate subcommittee. I spoke directly to DJJ Secretary Wansley Walters at a public meeting in Miami. And then the state was very helpful in getting me the documents that I needed, because they were legal requests. So I'm here to make this public request to see if anything can be done to look at the systemic issues that are preventing the FOIA request I've made a long time ago. I've asked for collaboration with the city. I've asked for conversations with the city attorney so it can clarify and make this thing a smooth, efficient process, to no avail. So that's my time.
I will give you a few more seconds if you want to wrap it up.
I'm here to help the city. I'm from here. I'm not here to attack it. I'm not here to attack the employees who are extremely dedicated and loyal to this place. It's a tough town. And I'm not here to gang up on them, but I'm here to help support them in doing their job so that this can be a safe place. This should be a safe place.
Okay, Mr. Hoffman, I will tell you that both the attorney, Mr. Walpen, and the city manager will be back in touch with you.
Thank you, ma'am.
With that said, there is no more business tonight that comes before this commission, so I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn, made by Commissioner Narotsky, seconded by Vice Mayor Dr. Linda Marks. Is there anyone opposed? This meeting is officially adjourned.